That's the second week. He said that, then she said it's okay. Did Lynchy check with you?
It's okay.
He said, we're leaving on Friday, staying over Friday night, Saturday night, and coming home on the 15th, which is a Father's Day.
Oh, gee.
I said, you sure everybody knows that's, well, he said, I'm a father, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, I'm just noticing on my calendar that was Father's Day.
So 13th, 14th, and 15th. Yeah.
There are not that many wineries to go to up there. There may be about 3 and 2 good restaurants. I think if we make it a point to get back for dinner on Father's Day, it would work out. You have your questions already?
Just the one
I
Sent
guess
to you.
involved with this committee. Do you
I don't
remember it?
remember. No, that's too long ago.
Ah,
It'll be a short interview unless Linda could fill in all the blanks that I have.
it's really been a long time.
Yeah.
Do you remember the dates?
Well,
The
Linda
time frame.
gave it to me.
Because you had the eviction and what was the
79.
gap between the eviction and then this committee being formed? How did it come
Let's
together?
see. There was a planning committee first.
Linda could fill you in on all that.
As vague as I might be.
Did you get this?
Yeah, I
got
made a
this.
copy.
So you got all your dates. If you didn't, then there's chronological over here.
There's still some holes, lots of holes.
Hey.
It's hard to reconstruct.
Yeah, but I think that in sequence, I looked at it last night, I don't think there were any other proposals.
Really?
Yeah, cause,
Somehow I thought we had gone through so many of them.
well, it's the same group with 3 different ideas. It's 4 Cs and then Pan Magna and then
868.
868. So those were the only ones. Cause in sequence, they came one after the other. There's no room to entertain any other.
And nothing came after 868.
Well, that's after my time. Then St. Mary's came in.
So when did you stop working on it?
Who, me?
Yeah,
I was drafted in when the committee was formed,
okay.
79.
979.
And then you were involved until,
And I was involved until, I had my dates.
oh,
Where is it?
92.
92, right. I was only in the first 13 years. And for the next 16 years,
This is, you've seen the first part already. I just kept working on it.
oh, okay. Is this an extra? or-
That's okay, I can always have it.
download it again.
Yeah. Oh, Risa, you know how to operate that. Wow.
It's not only this, it's this.
All right. Shall we start?
Okay.
Okay, we have today Dr. Rolland Lowe joining us, who, Dr. Lowe was the chair of the International Hotel Citizens Advisory Committee from 1979 until 1992. And we've asked Dr. Lowe to talk about what happened during that period when he was chair, and a little bit about the committee and its composition, and what did it struggle with during that time. So, Dr. Lowe, you were chair of a committee that since has gotten much smaller, but what was the committee composition like?
Well, it was supposed to, with 15 people, represent a broad interest of the community that was impacted by this iHotel issue, which includes the Filipino community, the Chinese community. It involved people that were involved in the nonprofit sectors of these communities, the business people that were involved with this. And I don't know how 15 people could wear so many hats, but basically these 15 people, as designated by the mayor, was with the thought they were representative of the will of the communities.
So this committee was appointed by the mayor?
Yes, Mayor Feinstein, in her wisdom, selected this group to help guide her on how to develop this block, the International Hotel site.
And so the charge to the committee was to provide some guidance on the development of the block, the iHotel block.
Yes. And very early, we huddled together to see what do we as this broad representative group wanted. And the idea was, number one, to try to replace the units that were torn down. I think there were 192 units. And we wanted to be sure that that tenants that were evicted has first rights to come in. And three, it would be affordable to the very low income people of the communities here. And by very low income, it means 25% of the income from Social Security.
So the committee started its work. Was there any city support for the committee's work?
Well, I think that the city's support was really more political at first than financial. It was with the idea that they will help to rezone the block to be sure there will not be high rises without approval, and that it will go through a process of making sure that the developers understand what the will of the community was.
At that point in time, early in the life of this committee, was there any thought of doing publicly subsidized housing?
No, not at the beginning. We thought that just by giving additional air rights to the developer to build on this site, and give them later maybe additional air rights to build on another site, what they could make it by, let's see, how should I put it? By giving them these rights, they could find enough money to build the housing units. And that became the biggest challenge in the whole thing for both for us and for the developer.
So the hope was to try to develop the property privately,
Yes.
but still be able to have affordable housing on the site.
And the public part comes in as granting additional air rights for them to build.
So that would be their way of being able to make some money
Yeah.
and do their development,
Right.
but still provide some public good.
I recall in those days, we thought if they could build additional 5 floors of space, they could donate, so to say, 1 floor of free housing to us. It roughly came out down to that kind of a formula. Not that we knew that at the beginning.
So who were there any developers who stepped up to the plate offering to do some project that would include housing?
Well, originally the people who owned the iHotel site was a developer that tried to develop it. And then they morphed into a new structure to then try to develop it. And then they have a third party that they gave the project to, and they try to develop it. And always to them, the dollars did not come out. They just felt that there was too many units that they had to build at a very low cost housing rate of rental income. And they just felt that they could not. I'm sure that if they felt that they could do it and make a little money, they would have done it. Because they spend an awful lot of money trying to figure out how to do it.
So the first developer was the owner, you said?
Yeah.
That would be Four Seas Investments.
Yeah.
Did they actually, did they just have an idea, or did they actually do some planning?
Oh, they did some planning. The first idea they had was they could build 70 to 75 units and 30 parking space, but they had to have 36,000 square feet of office space and a ground floor commercial space in order to make that happen.
Oh.
But that was not acceptable to us because we were looking for 192 units and not 70 to 75 units, which we thought was quite a cutback from what we felt we need to have on the block.
Oh, in other words, they were gonna build more units, but only offer 70 to 75.
Yeah,
for low
we
income.
started with the idea we want to replace the units, all the units that were torn down. And we started with that position. And they just felt financially, given the cost of construction at that time, they could not really come up to 192 and counter offer with that 70 to 75 units. And then they wanted additional office space, parking space, and everything else to be able to put the package together.
They also own the Columbus Montgomery
Yes,
corner,
Yes.
if I remember right.
yes. So that became a phase 2 idea. So we then talked to them about developing that site, give them additional air rights to build on that site to see if we could get more units out of them. But even that was not satisfactory. So they gave up. And then that was Pan Magnet, at that time it was called. And then they gave up and sold the rights to develop that site to 868 Associates or something like that. And they tried to work with the numbers. And still, by then they had even some city subsidy, about 1.3 million at first. And then the next mayor offered another 1.5. And still the numbers they felt did not come out for them to be willing to move the project.
So how long did this, in what period of time did this take place?
Forever. What I mean was, when I started as chair, little did I realize it was going to take this long. So we started in September of '79, and when I left in 92, 13 years later, we still did not have a project at hand. And that's when I pass it on to you for what, the next 16 years? Yeah. So I took it for the first 13, and now you're at the next 16 years as chair.
Has it been 16?
Yes.
That's a long time.
Well, the fact that we had, this is now the 29th year of this committee, really talk about the persistency on our part to make sure the project happened for the community. And I think it speaks to the tenacity of this committee, and to a degree, great degree, is on the leadership and the committee members that stuck through it.
No, what did the committee do? I remember that when these proposals came in, you did personally, you did a lot of analysis of them.
Yes.
I mean, you were probably, because you knew something about development, you were probably best equipped to take a look at it and understand what they were proposing. What kinds of advocacy did the committee do?
Well, I have to say, you know, they say in the world of the blind, a one-eye cyclop becomes the expert. And I'm the one-eye cyclop. I don't claim I know that much about real estate development, but helping my mom to develop the World Theater site, I have some ideas about numbers and concerns as a builder, etc. So I was able to break down the numbers and analyze that. But what was the second question you asked if I?
What kind of role did the committee play?
Well, I think we try to be reasonable and not demand the impossible, and squeeze and I use the word squeeze, the maximum out of developer that we think is reasonable. And I think that is important. You cannot just ask for something when it's totally unreasonable. Then they wouldn't invest the money to really see if they could do it or not. So you have to have a teaser for them to keep moving, and we keep squeezing the maximum that they could get. And without really knowing something about numbers and reality, it's hard to work on a longer term basis, because we did work with them over 5 years at least to try to see if it's a doable project or not.
It's a long time.
And my fault, during those 5 years, we almost met monthly. Some months, twice a month. It's not like, you know, there's a hiatus of 6 months and then they come back, we look at it and say something, another 6 months. We were meeting monthly and often twice a month. Maybe a month because it was a holiday or something, but we really met, and I give the committee credit for being willing to meet that persistently over the course of those years.
Was there a difference in terms of working with Pan Magna and the 868 group, or were they about the same, or?
Well, let me see. By the time that 868 came in, there were additional subsidies that were being offered. And so they took a new look at, with the additional subsidies, whether it was really doable or not. But actually, if I recall, and this is a long time ago, they were not as committed, I think, as the original group. I think they really meant to make it go, and I think the group that took over really looked at it strictly as a business point of view and see what they could do.
Yeah, as I recall, 868 was a Taiwan-based
Yeah.
family company.
Yeah.
And their part of the deal was the iHotel site. But Four Seas, or its successor or corporation, Pan Magna, retained control over the Colombo building site.
Mm-hmm.
and they still wanted to develop that site. So they just assigned over to, Pan Magna assigned over to 868 Associates the development rights for this site, the iHotel site.
But the ownership was still 4C's.
No, they were gonna transfer
Oh,
ownership,
transfer,
yeah.
didn't they, Rolland?
Yeah. To Mahaguna's credit, he did sell the site to St. Mary's to move into the next phase
Yes.
of development.
Yes.
So I think he really had good intentions, but felt he could not do it. So he sold the site to St. Mary's so they could see if they could develop it as a nonprofit entity.
And they were prepared, I think, to sell it to 868 Associates.
Yeah.
Except 868 Associates dropped out. They withdrew
Yeah.
before the project could happen.
And I think because they sold to St. Mary as a nonprofit entity, they were able to attract more federal funding for housing too. In other words, there was a private enterprise. The additional millions of dollars would not have come in. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just vaguely thinking.
I
That's
think
what
at
it
the
took.
time that, after St. Mary's purchased the site, was when Chinatown CDC got selected by the iHotel committee to be the developer, and they put in the application with the city's support for HUD funding and Section 8 subsidies. The city, though, also, in addition to the money that was set aside by Mayor Feinstein, which amounted to about $3 million, in addition to that, with some advocacy from the committee, I think it was Ted Deansfry was the director of housing, Frank Jordan was the mayor,
Mhm.
and they put in more money.
Yeah.
And then the final step was Willie Brown, when he was mayor. He and his mayor, his Office of Housing, supported additional funding to make this happen. They actually put up, the city put up, when it comes to funding, probably as close or more than HUD, except for the Section 8 subsidies.
I think what it does point out at this point is with the persistency of the committee, we were able to get mayor after mayor of the city to support it. You know, it's not usual that you could have such a track record over time with the different mayors totally supporting the project. But I think if the committee did not exist, it would have gone away. So it was very important to have a community voice that persistently, over 29 years, just keep pressure on. And to the city's credit, they were willing to maintain their commitment to this project all that time too.
Probably the committee would not have been effective without there having been the wide public support
Yeah.
as, like during the eviction night and the many demonstrations during that time to try to prevent the eviction and to object to folks who were wanting to develop the property for other purposes. I think it seemed like there was great political will
Yeah.
to make it happen. As a result of people, it stayed in people's memories
Yeah.
for decades.
So the actual demolition was in '79,
I think the demolition was in 78.
78?
78.
Okay. And that was considered what, an illegal demolition because they jumped the gun.
I think they jumped the gun.
On the permits.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there was a lot of outcry already.
And then
Yeah.
they had to fix it.
Yeah.
And do it properly. But eventually they demolished the property.
So you guys were the result of all that. You know,
Well,
that committee
and I think
report.
we understood our obligation
Yeah.
to this public outcry,
Yeah.
that we try our best to live up to their expectation.
Mhm.
It didn't quite get to where we thought we would be, but then I think we gave it a good try anyway,
Mhm.
you know.
In, let's see, so we went through 3 different variations of
Yeah.
development proposals. And a number of housing directors,
Yes,
and city planning people, as I recall.
yes.
Yeah.
And they were all very supportive. I have to say, I'm impressed with their commitment to see this project through. And I think that there was some pro bono legal advice that we were given, you know, that was
that's right.
helpful. What was his name?
Stephen Phillips.
Yeah, he
from
was very.
Morrison and Forster.
Yeah. And that was very important to us to know what legal grounds we were standing on, or we could stand on. So it was an interesting experience. Looking back, if I knew I was going to be on chairing a committee for 13 years, I never would have said, sorry, Mayor, I just don't have that kind of time. And for you to stay with it for 29 years, I think that's remarkable, and really compliment the committee.
Actually,
like a life sentence.
how did they approach both of you anyway? I mean, like, they called you or
Yeah,
a letter or what?
well, I don't remember now, it was 29 years ago. I
There was a
consider-
resolution that passed the Board of Supervisors.
okay.
Sponsored by John Molinari, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably at Diane Feinstein's
Urging.
Yeah.
And then Feinstein figured out who she wanted to appoint and issued the invitations. But it was an interesting committee, I have to say. I mean, it still is. It's such a mix of people who really, it wasn't like we were friends or anything. But it stuck it out. I mean, this group stuck it out.
I think over the hard work and the time frame, we developed trust in each other. And I think the trust gave us a sense we're going to have to stick through. Actually, by investing so much time, we hate to give up.
And then what made you decide to drop out? And,
Because I got involved in medical politics,
Okay.
I was on the exec committee of the California Medical Association, which takes a lot of time. And at that point, I just knew that I couldn't spend the time. We need some younger blood.
So instead, he became the president of the California Medical Association.
you couldn't do both, huh? No.
Not do justice to the
Okay,
committee.
yeah.
You know, I don't want to be a name just hang on and not do the work.
And then, how was it passed on to you then? To work
The
on it?
committee had an election, I think.
Oh.
I thought
'cause-
you were vice chair and you stepped in.
I think
Yeah.
they,
Don't remember?
Oh, because you were already on the committee.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
going to those.
I think she was vice chair. We had to have a vice chair, and I think she just eased into the spot.
Who would have thought?
29 years. Yeah. But it also gives a sense of the commitment because we believe in the community itself, don't you think?
Yeah.
It wasn't for money. It's just for a sense of commitment to a community. If all of us on the committee didn't have that sense, it would not have lasted.
Yeah, it would have fallen apart. Because the people came from such
Like,
different
yes.
perspectives.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to talk with the committee members, what their take on this
Yeah.
whole process was.
Yes, yes. Before they all pass on,
Yeah, several have already.
yeah.
So, what was it like in terms of dealing with, did you have to deal directly with the Mahaguna family, or just their,
We dealt a lot with attorneys.
Yeah.
the attorneys, huh?
And the developers, with them that they hired. But if I were them, I would have given up and just sell it off and move on to some other project right away, because it's such a hassle.
There was one period of time when we were dealing with the son of Mahaguna Saperson.
Yeah, right.
I think his name was Bo. Right?
Yeah,
Actually, it was okay.
yeah.
I thought it
No,
was
that's
okay.
why I thought they sincerely wanted to see if they could do it.
Could do something with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But the economics were not there.
So so after Bowl, that was it. There was no more.
No more contact with
Yeah.
the family.
Then the new group came in.
Yeah. And then various attorneys. There were a number of attorneys for the developers that came on the scene. Some more competent than others.
Let's see what else is there.
Well, I think we covered the subject.
I think so.
Yeah.
You can't squeeze more blood out of the turd.
Do you have anything else you want to ask, Harvey?
Well, I guess the role of some of the other people that were on that committee when you were there, because they had you said some of those people passed on, and was there
Well,
anything-
I think the most regrettable were the tenants that were evicted.
How-
that-
yeah.
Henrietta Moon and her husband,
So Chung.
So Chung. It took so long, and I feel so bad that they could not move back in and share the joy of seeing, the final product. Don't you feel that? That's the
I
one
think
regret.
we managed to bring Etta from the rehab center that she was at over in Alameda for the groundbreaking.
Mhm.
But she never saw the final, when it was done.
Yeah.
I used to bring her pictures of the construction work to show her, but she didn't see the final product. And then, what other members? Joe Yui,
Yeah, Joe Yu passed away.
yeah, who was very supportive.
He clipped out all the newspaper articles about the iHotel. He has in one folder, but he was so interested, he made sure he kept all the newspaper clippings. In fact, if you want the history, if we know where that pile is,
Actually, he brought it to us, and we put it in the archive
oh, good.
at Berkeley.
Good.
Hopefully they have it.
Yeah.
But I think there were like 2 cartons.
It showed how interested he was in this whole project and committed to.
And he also saw it from a businessman's standpoint, I
Yes.
recall. He thought that it would help Chinatown if there were additional parking developed on the site. And so in addition to having just a commitment to bringing the housing back, he also felt that having some additional parking would help the community.
Mm-hmm.
George Lee also
Yes.
was another person who
Right.
passed on before we could get the housing built.
George Lee from Pingyuan.
Pingyuan,
Yes.
Strong advocate for housing.
his wife is still alive, right?
Yes, as far as I know, yes.
Yeah. Actually, was she on the committee too?
No,
No.
no, George was.
Okay.
But,
You have the name of the committee members all listed
Yeah.
there. So how many is that? 4? 4 out of 15 never saw the end of it.
What about Margaret Muiko?
I don't know what happened to Margaret. Margaret and, there was another, Legaspi. Margaret used to attend our meetings,
Yeah.
because I remember her, but somehow, either she dropped out or she got ill or something.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There's also at the beginning Tex.
Tex Lamira.
Lamira.
Tex
But he
Lamira.
wasn't on the committee as it was appointed.
Mm.
He was on the original
The planning committee.
planning group, yeah. Well, it's a long history, but now when I look at the building, you know, can't help but feel good about it. At least we can show something for the work.
Yes,
You know.
all those hundreds of meetings.
Yes.
So, if that does it in terms of
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. But I guess the main thing was to find out how Dr. Lowe got involved in this thing in the first place, and how the committee worked with each other.
Well, I think that at the time of the appointment, I already have shown that I have been working in the community in various capacity. Do you remember the El Bakari report?
Yes, 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 yes.
You know, that's the first published something about the community and the state it was in. And that was a fluke as to how it came out. Because Kathy was in square circle, and El Bakari.
Your wife?
Yeah, my
Kathy.
wife.
Uh-huh.
And the ladies were roping me in to give them a hand to write the health section.
Oh,
And then we did all the work and there was no money to publish it. So they draft me to organize the whole thing to get the report out.
oh,
So it wasn't like it was by grand design, you know, like many things in life. You just stumble into it. And so by reputation, I guess, besides being a great doctor, they felt that I was interested in the community work. So, but I cannot emphasize the key thing as to why this building got built. It was because there was a group of people who felt it was wrong and the wrong need to be righted, and a group of people who felt, yes, we are willing to help to make sure it's righted, and then we persisted in it because we believe in that, you know, deep in our heart. And I cannot overemphasize the importance of that and putting pressure on the city so the city make it their commitment too. But it takes that kind of total effort, don't you think?
I think so. What is totally amazing is how people remain committed for
Yes.
so long. Well, thank you, Rolland.
Well,
Thanks.
I wish I could remember more, but my memory is fading fast of the past.
Well, that was a good summary. So,
It's worth having.
yeah,
today.
yeah, it's worth having.
But, you know, all that were key components. Any one lacking, this project would not have gone ahead, right? If you didn't have the beginning, you didn't have the city, you didn't have us, you know, you didn't have the federal government being able to toss in the money, it would not have happened. So it takes all combination effort.
Many people to
Yeah.
try to make this a go. Well, this building will be here long after we're gone, so.
We hope so.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So Harvey, what did you think about all this?
Well, see, I was involved all the way up to the actual demolition part.
Yes.
So I didn't know a whole lot about the formation of the committee and stuff until years later when I ran into Linda, you know, who kind of gave me the rundown. And it seems like it was just like another phase of the struggle,
Yeah.
but on a negotiation level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the earlier part was kind of, you know, manning the barricades,
Yes.
support work with the tenants and getting the community support. But I guess the next group, like your group, just continued it in terms of carrying the ball,
Yep.
you know, on that. Yeah. So it's, you could say it was a very long, protracted thing from ever since from
But
68.
by being persistent,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you won out over.
Right.
So it took that kind of combined effort.
Many generations.
Yeah.
It was scary. If 10 more years, we all would have been gone, I think.
Luckily.
If you just Linda talking.
and then you
Tell
have
me,
another,
Linda, what happened to
you have
the other
another
14?
another generation here.
Yes.
Behind the camera. Continue. Yeah.
All right, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Okay.
I think that pretty much does it.
Are we going to interview the other people later when they get well?
I hope, well, they actually were, they regretted not being able to be here. I guess there's some bug going around.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah. What about George Lee's wife? She might be a good person.
Source
to-
of information.
Because
I was thinking, you know, it might not be a bad idea to bring the committee members together. Probably, some of them are
Yeah.
still working, so it probably would have to be like a Saturday or something.
Yeah.
But, maybe his wife.
Yeah. Because she did a lot of community canvassing.
Yeah, and I remember she was involved in the demonstration
Yeah.
on eviction night.
Yeah, she was out there.
They brought their children.
Yeah. So you had families from Pinyin housing projects coming down here. That was the other part too, the support, you know.
Yeah. The more we talk,
Yeah.
the more I realize how many people were involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm glad I wore my blue and gold. And you, like Lynchy, always wear red. They come from Berkeley, but you know, their car is red as red can be, right?
That's because of me. Somehow silver doesn't do anything for me.
Stanford fan?
Actually, I don't think UC ever recognized me as a graduate.
Well, you never declare, you see, you hide it very well.
Because I didn't
You
like
pretend
it.
like you're from Stanford, you keep wearing
I thought you're
red.
from Chicago. You-
University of Chicago.
Is that where you went?
Masters
Oh, you went to Berkeley
for
undergrad.
undergrad.
Oh, okay.
Suffered through it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.